A Brave Knight's Quest. Ah! My parents have always said that I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. Since I am afraid of many things that keep me awake at night, I decided to go on a brave knight's quest to conquer my fears. As I set off to begin my journey, I ran across a tiny fluttering fairy in the woods. I stopped to ask her, "Little fairy, could you be so kind as to give me directions to the fierce, fiery dragon's lair?" She hesitantly replied, "Sure," with a shiver of fear. "Go to the great hollowed-out oak tree to the deepest, darkest part of the forest. Then turn left and jump over 5 pebbles. Crawl through the fox's hole and turn left again after weaving between the evergreen trees. You will come across a smoky clearing filled with caverns and jagged rocks. In there you will find him." "Thank you, my tiny little woodland friend," I said, and once again I set off to find the dragon. As I approached the clearing, I spotted the dragon. At the same moment, the dragon spotted me. He sucked in his chest as if to breathe fire, so I held my shield in one hand and my sword in the other. I closed my eyes and slowly walked toward him, whispering under my breath, "God did not give me a spirit of fear and timidity, but a spirit of power, love, and self-discipline." To my surprise, when I finally found the courage to open my eyes, the dragon had started a campfire and was holding 2 sticks in one hand and a bag of marshmallows in the other. He was waving me over with the biggest, toothiest grin I had ever seen. He explained, "I've been so lonely due to the horrible mark placed upon me as a dragon that I welcome any visitors who dare come my way." He talked throughout the night and told me of his dreams of someday owning his own s'more stand. I have to agree that he had made the best s'mores this side of heaven. In the morning, I wished him good luck, thanked him for his kindness, and set off once again on my brave knight's quest to conquer my fears. Along my journey, I came across a rocky ocean beach. I noticed a mermaid, half submerged in the water, curiously peering at me from behind a rock. I yelled to her, "Please, kind mermaid, could you tell me where Loch Ness resides?" She sang back to me in an almost opera-like voice, "Across the open water, to the island down under the cove into the deep abyss. There's a rowboat behind the enormous boulder that you may take on your quest." "Thank you, kind mermaid," I sang back in an off-key voice. I jumped in the rowboat, leaving no time to spare, and rowed tirelessly toward the island. As I got further out to sea, the waves became choppier and choppier. Then a massive wave hit me from the side and turned my little boat over, throwing me into the sea. I began flailing my arms, just trying to stay afloat, as my heavy armor began to take me down. I cried out, "I will not be afraid or discouraged, for the Lord my God is with me wherever I go." Suddenly, I found myself being lifted out of the water and carried to shore by the elusive sea monster Loch Ness. When we finally made it to the cove, I hugged him with a grateful heart and apologized for the misunderstanding that I had of his character. As we made our way to shore, the storm clouds began to lift. We talked throughout the night about his travels beneath the water and the treasures that he had found at the bottom of the sea. He shared how he had turned his island into a sanctuary for creatures in need, and how he used the treasures he found in the sea to invent solutions to problems. For example, he introduced me to Silas the seal and shared how he had an old oar he found to make a new flipper to replace the one Silas lost during a shark attack. I also met a chipmunk family who lost their home in a fire and now live in a treasure chest that Locke found in some wreckage at the bottom of the ocean. When morning light broke, he taxied me back to the mainland. We said our goodbyes, and I set off once again on my brave knight's quest to conquer my fears. As I continued on the final stretch of my journey, I ran into a unicorn. grazing on the side of a road at the end of a brightly colored rainbow. I asked her, "Please, kind unicorn, could you direct me to Bigfoot's den?" The unicorn replied with a whinny, "Over the mountainous peaks and down into the dark, shadowy valley in the depths below." "Thank you, kind unicorn," I said. "Good luck on your quest," cheered the unicorn. Over the jagged peaks I went, and I began rappelling down the mountain into the dark valley, where Bigfoot's howls echoed across the rock walls. As I descended further down the cliff, I could see Bigfoot viciously growling at me from below. Overcome by fear, I cried out to God, "God, please open the eyes of my heart." Suddenly, I noticed a large thorn in his foot and felt compassion for him. "Mr. Bigfoot, please let me help you," I said with love in my heart. He sat down with crocodile tears running down his furry cheeks. I pulled the thorn out with one quick jerk. He made a loud yelp, and then a huge smile of relief came over his face. As we began to visit, Bigfoot explained that he and his wife had decided to grow a large enchanted rose garden to add color to the shadowy valley. While they were planting the roses, he was stuck by a large thorn, and it was so painful that he could not even touch it to pull it out. After telling his story, he walked me through the magical garden, beaming with pride. By morning, we said our goodbyes, and with a gesture of gratitude, Bigfoot cut down his prized rose, the one that had towered over the dark valley, and he handed it to me as a thank you gift, after removing all the thorns, of course. After setting off on my long journey back home, I was overjoyed when I came across a griffin who offered to fly me home. When we were in sight of my home, my parents came running out to see me. I jumped off the griffin and thanked them for the ride. My parents welcomed me with open arms, took off my helmet, brushed the long auburn locks out of my face, and cried out with joy, "Thank you, Lord, our daughter has returned home safely." I talked through the night with my parents, sharing my adventures of what I had seen and experienced. I told them the greatest thing I learned was that whether you are big or small, fearful or brave, having your best day or your worst day, or facing mythical or factual creatures, love conquers all fears. When I looked at the world with loving eyes, I no longer saw a ferocious fire-breathing dragon. I saw hospitality and a servant's heart. When I looked at the world with loving eyes, I no longer saw the elusive sea monster Loch Ness. I saw courage and compassion. When I looked at the world with loving eyes, I no longer saw the vicious howling Bigfoot. I saw a creature in pain and suffering, and through that, I was given the opportunity to help and make a difference in his life. Then, with a smile on my face, I finally fell asleep, feeling secure in the truth God had shown me. Love is patient, love is kind, it does not envy, it does not boast. It is not proud, it is not easily angered. It keeps no record of wrongs. Love does not delight in evil, but rejoices with truth. It always protects, always trusts, always hopes, always perseveres. Love never fails. 1 Corinthians 13:5-8. The end.